Hello my bookish lovelies, Kira here, and I'm actually going to be doing a very non-bookish video today. Vlogmas is kind of a very stressful time, and I kind of wanted just a low-key, kind of fun, wrap with me video, just kind of to discuss some things that have been on my mind during the season. And Vlogmas is kind of a hard thing to do. 26 videos in 26 days. It's rough. It is really hard. It is very stressful, and mainly because when you're doing 26 videos and you work a full-time job, there's not a lot of downtime, which is kind of a thing. So I figured I would kill two birds with one stone, and I would go ahead and I would wrap and we could have a little chat. I don't really do a ton of these chatty videos, but I figured that this would kind of be a great time. Mainly, I wanted to film tonight because I got some wings going on here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm actually very happy with my wings tonight, and I didn't want them to go to waste. Secondly, I have been stuffing stuff in my closet for the last 3 or 4 months because I start Christmas shopping, I want to say about 4 or 5 months in advance, when I start seeing stuff on sale, good deals, stuff like that, stuff I know that my family would love. My family is a huge fan of Christmas. We don't do a ton of stuff for each other throughout the year, so we kind of make up for it on Christmas. So we tend to get each other a few things, stuff like that we know the others would really like, that stuff that we know that our family and each other would not buy for ourselves. Aside from the books that I requested on my Christmas list, because my parents are aim to please and they know I love books. So so this is kind of like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started wrapping. So I have a personal tradition every year where I pick out my own wrapping paper. And my wrapping paper is the stuff that I wrap all of the gifts that I give to other people in. Of course, in this video I cannot show you any of those gifts because I am worried that somebody I know who's getting one of these gifts will see it. So we definitely don't want to do that. But the wrapping paper that I picked this year, I don't know if you guys can see it, is actually this cute little Harry Potter. We have Dobby, we have Ron, we have Hermione, we have the brooms, and we have a little Hedwig, we have, we just have pretty much all of the main characters. I went on Black Friday to Joann Fabrics, and they had a deal on this wrapping paper. It was buy one get 3 for free, so I ended up with 4 rolls for this. So if I end up using this for the next couple of years, I'm not going to complain about that, because honestly this is the best wrapping paper I have ever found the entire time I've been doing this. And I've been getting my own wrapping paper for, it's kind of my theme for the year. So I kind of adopt a theme for the year. A few years ago it was Star Wars, sometimes it's Snoopy, sometimes it's just something very simple. But when I saw this, I knew this was my wrapping paper for the year. So that's what I'm going to be wrapping in. Let's see, so I have my tape, and did I get my scissors? No, I did not get my scissors. I always forget my scissors. Okay. We got everything. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to move some things out of the way because I don't have the biggest room in the world. I kind of have to deal with what I have. I have a lot of stuff. Mainly, because books and stuff pretty much take up at least a good 60% of this room. But that's what happens when you're in love with books and when you want your entire room to be about books. So, alright. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on the wrapping. So I was talking about how hard it is to do things with, Vlogmas. And being the fact that it's so hard during this time of year, not only are you having to deal with the prospect that you might have to deal with family or people usually that you're not a huge fan of, but you're also having to deal with, the stress of finding the right gift. And I think that can sometimes be really stressful. Being the fact that we are in America, or that I live in America, consumerism is kind of a big thing. We are such a consumerist society that we would rather be open on Thanksgiving to allow people to shop deals early than stay closed. And and it's not because the businesses wouldn't be open if those days didn't do well, which is why it's so important people boycott shopping on Thanksgiving, but a lot of people don't because you're always worried about missing out on that deal because, you know, a family member wanted something. So, you know, we in America, a lot of times we overcompensate by showing people how much we care about them by getting them things, which can be kind of a double-edged sword because yes, will they love it? Maybe. Hopefully you know them well enough to get them something they like, but it's also a very stressful time because there's always like that little ear of doubt that you're not going to get stuff right. But I kind of feel like the family members like that really care about you, they don't give a shit about that stuff. They don't care like if you buy them Timbuktu. They don't care. They care about spending time with you. And so like for me, being somebody who's big on family and who's big on, you know, friends and everything else, I find it really hard to fathom that, you know, people take time out of their schedule to leave people on Thanksgiving to go shopping. And to me, like, that's also like a little bit insulting too, because, you know, you would think, I cut this paper too short. I'm sure I can find something else to use it for. You would think like that people would want to spend time with family and friends during the holidays, not be out and, you know, shopping for things. And that kind of really upsets me because I hate seeing people do that to their families. You know, and I'm sure part of it could be also the fact like that a lot of people like don't have a family, or they don't spend, you know, a ton of time with family on Thanksgiving. But retail workers have to work that day. People who work in restaurants have to work on Thanksgiving. And I don't know, I just feel like it's so sad. I just feel like it's so sad, you know, that all these people have to work like when they could be spending time with family or friends. And I'm sure like there's a minority of people like that don't have family or friends to go to, and even if you're not a huge fan of your family, you know, you could still go and hang out with your friends too, because I'm a big fan of found families, and not everybody that you would consider a family are people that you are actually related to. And sometimes, you know, like the people like that you find that are, you know, more similar to family, rather than blood family, sometimes feel more at home to you than they do blood-wise. So I just think like this entire, like, you know, during the holidays is just really, really stressful for a lot of people. And I know this entire video is probably going to be just like me rambling about stuff, but I guess that's what chatty videos are for, right? Just to kind of like, you know, ramble and, you know, kind of like we're hanging out right now. So I don't know. So I've gotten most of my Christmas shopping done. I still have a few things to pick up. I'm not 100% done. And I cannot stand going out in the crowds right now. Have you guys, like, I don't know if it's like this busy everywhere, but here in Florida, it is ridiculous out right now. Especially, I went to Target today, like to go like look at a few things, and Target was ridiculous. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can completely understand because Target is awesome. Like, they have so many great things there. They're not they're not the cheapest store, but they're also not the most overpriced store either. Especially like if you end up having like one of their red cards, like where you save 5%. But they have a really good selection of stuff, and they have like a lot of exclusives, and like recently like they've been doing like a lot of deals like where you buy 2 get 1 free, which I have indulged in like a little bit if you see my book hauls, like with, you know, that, because I'm always looking for a good deal. So, but being out like among the holidays, like, you know, I think part of like, you know, the holiday spirit is like that it's kind of a communal, I can't speak. It's kind of like a community thing too. You know, hunting for gifts and stuff like that. You're out, like you're among like a bunch of other people who are doing the exact same thing, and it's kind of like a community gathering at some point, you know, like a consumerist community gathering is pretty much what it is, which is fine. It's just, you know, you really start to like to really see it and realize it during the holidays. Where are my labels? So I've been waiting for my video like to upload for like the last, I want to say 5 hours. It was a 23-minute video. It's going up tonight. If you guys are watching this, I'm actually filming this on Sunday. What was the date? The 8th of November. I'm actually filming this on the 8th of December. And for some reason my iPad, I don't know if it's like all the changes like that they're making with COPPA or whatever else, but like my iPad is like not uploading at the same speed, and usually a 23-minute video will take me like an hour at tops to upload, and it's been uploading for like the last 6 hours, and I'm kind of frustrated about it, but whatever, as long as it uploads. I still have another hour and a half and I'm at 77%, so we're getting there, but I'm probably gonna have to find an alternate route of uploading after this because I can't keep doing this to my iPad. It's a lot of wear and tear on that. And I can't keep waiting this long. Like, I have another video I need to edit that needs to go out like later on this week. So just a lot of stress. But you know, the important thing like during this time is that you try to take care of yourself, because taking care of yourself is probably like one of the hardest things to do during the holiday season because of all of the pressures like that you are under. Let me get a pen. And I'm gonna use this as my thing I write on. You know, I'm hoping like that by next year I'll have 1,000 subs and I can do this live, because I would love to be able to sit here and have a conversation with you like while answering questions and stuff like that. But I don't have, that's another thing. I'm probably going to be hopefully investing in a laptop soon, so I will hopefully be able to do like more live stuff. I really want to be able to do that because like I want to be able to be here in the flesh, you know, like talking to you, like answering questions, you know, engaging, that kind of thing, like, you know, having more of a connection. And when you have it really sucks like that you have to wait till you have 1,000 subs to use like a portable device to do this, but what are you gonna do? All right, got a couple presents wrapped. So 2 out of a few. I don't know if I'm gonna get all of this done tonight, but I'm just gonna be really relieved to have my closet back because I've been putting this stuff on the floor in my closet. And so it's just nice, you know, like that. I'm finally gonna be able to get rid of this stuff out of there. Especially because it's been taking up space like in there for a while. Favorite thing about this wrapping paper so far is it's got a grid on the back, like with like little squares and stuff, like to make it like really easy, like to, you know, to cut reasonably straight lines, because when I cut wrapping paper and stuff, I tend to not make a straight line. All right, still not 100% straight, but good enough. We're not going for perfection here, people. We're just going to get these presents wrapped. Oh, and I did it again. All right. I know, I'm definitely not on my A game tonight for wrapping. That's fine. I'm tired a little bit, but I really wanted to do this. Where did I put the tape? Oh. You ever like sit like there and you're like wrapping presents and like, you know, you keep misplacing the tape and like it's probably in the, let's force like it's the last place you put it, but because you're so distracted by like, you know, trying to get things cut, you kind of forget sometimes like where the last place you put your tape was. Such a conundrum. Such a conundrum. I just like saying that word, I think. Conundrum. You know, we are word people, so some words we like the way they kind of roll off the tongue. So we say them because we actually have fun saying them. Conundrum. All right. Once again, it's not perfect. Just glad I have a few small things, like that even though I keep cutting some of this wrapping paper, I still have stuff to use it on. Like if I don't get to everything, I probably should be wrapping the big stuff first. But I'm just wrapping whatever's within arm reach. So at this point. Okay, sticker. I didn't do like Harry Potter stickers. I used kind of like these. I stole them from my parents, by the way. I forgot to buy some. They don't care. So thanks guys, appreciate it. By the way, these labels are brought to you by my parents. I kind of like wanted to reflect like on the past year like a little bit too. Like last year during this time I was trying out Vlogmas, and I waited until December 1st to do Vlogmas, to even start doing Vlogmas. So I was like scrambling, trying to make sure that I had videos like every night, and I did it for 18 days. Like every day I went home and I was filming, which, don't get me wrong, I was pretty proud of myself over that, because, you know, I mean, it's not easy, like, you know, like deciding to do something like at the last minute and then doing it, and then, you know, like being successful for 18 days, but it gets really exhausting. And honestly, like at this point, because I really haven't had a lot of downtime, I really haven't had time to read. And for me, like that is really so important, because I do have a somewhat stressful job that I go to Monday through Thursday, and because it's stressful, I need downtime, which is like why my lunch breaks are so important. It's like why I don't usually vlog very much. It's why like I would eventually like to get more into vlogging, because I feel like I would love to be able like to do like reflections on my books and stuff. But when I'm reading, I'm just reading. Like I am 100% downtime. And I really appreciate like every single second that I get to sit down and read a book, because if you're an adult who has a full-time job, you really feel it when you don't have that time to sit down and kind of just take a breather. Having that breather is just so important to your mental health. It's important to, you know, like your physical health, because you can't be on the move all the time and not expect that you might end up, you know, feeling a little bit sick. So it's just really, really stressful. And I am grateful, of course, like to having, I'm definitely grateful for everything that I have. I'm grateful like that I was able like to start this channel. I'm grateful for my job. I am grateful like that I have income. I am grateful like that I am able to feed myself. I am grateful that I have family and friends that, you know, like love me, and I am so grateful like that I have an opportunity to, you know, better myself through various outlets, because a lot of people don't get that opportunity. And one of the outlets like that I am referring to, of course, is this. Like I feel like I've really kind of become a different person since I started doing this, like, you know, filming videos and stuff. You never really understand like what you're capable of until you try it. And this was kind of like when I first started, I was like, oh yeah, maybe I could do this. Like, you know, maybe people will watch me. Maybe like, you know, I'll get better. Maybe, you know, like maybe I'll give up. Maybe there's so many maybes like when you first like start this kind of thing. But like, you know, one of the things like that you don't like really expect to find, or that you really don't realize like when you first start, like a lot of this stuff is you don't like really realize like that the book community has a community. And another thing that you don't like really realize is that YouTube in itself is also a community, and there's different portions of YouTube that are different factions of the community. Now we all identify like with each other. We all, you know like that we are a part of the same community, especially like when this COPPA thing hit, like we've all kind of come together like about it, because there's like so many things like going on like with it. Like it's really, really worrisome, because somebody like me cannot afford to have a $45,000 fine. If you guys don't know what COPPA is, it's capital C-O-P-P-A, and it's Child, you know, I can't remember. Child Online Privacy Protection Act is what it is. And so like YouTube towards the beginning of the year got fined, I think $117 million because of it, because they've been collecting data on kids like that are less than 13 years of age. And that's not legal. But you know the odd like thing about this is that law is 19 years old, and it's just now being enforced, like really, really hardcore enforced through like Google and YouTube. They're really cracking down on it now, which is very like stressful, because as a content creator, like you have to like wonder, is my content going to get labeled for kids 13 and under? And that worries you. I'm still kind of like worried about it. I'm not as worried about it as I was before, because like there's like been a lot of like talk like that. Like if you're a mixed content channel, like I would consider this channel a mixed content channel. That if you're a mixed content channel, like, you know, you tend to not get targeted, I guess you could say, for it. So, which is great, because like I don't want to be targeted for it. Like if you notice, like in my description like below, I started putting like things like in the description like this is not geared towards kids, because I say things like shit, I say things like ass sometimes, like, you know, like I don't have like the cleanest mouth. I haven't dropped the F-bomb on here yet. I try not to, because I don't know who's watching my channel. I don't know, like, you know, like what age group. And, you know, I'm a little old-fashioned too, because when I was growing up, I know like that makes me sound really old because I'm not that old, but when I was growing up, usually, like, you know, like things like shit and ass and all those other like words, even like bitch, like all of those words, like they weren't a normal thing. Like, I didn't find them in my books. Like, now you see them in YA books like all over the place. Like, you don't really, when I was growing up, like, granted YA wasn't like as big of a genre as it is now, but it still was a small genre, but they never used language like that. So like when I read books like that, like I know like that kind of shows my age like a little bit, but like I still like, get a little bit shocked, like that, you know, teens are so, you know, like okay, like, or they're okay like with putting this kind of stuff and this kind of content in books like now. And now, don't get me like wrong, I am not advocating for censorship. Like, that's not what this is. Like me, I'm not advocating for censorship. I don't think we should be censored. I was never censored as a kid. My mother, my father, like they never censored me. Like they made sure like that. I mean, like they pretty much, I was able to watch like literally whatever I wanted, because the TV was kind of a big part. I was literally allowed to read whatever I wanted. Like nothing was off limits. Like, you know, so I'm very open-minded like to this stuff. It just, I can't get away from the fact that those kinds of things still kind of surprise me. So, you know, I'm just still very shocked, you know, that they're putting that kind of language in books. And I know like that, like once again, it makes me seem older than I am, but things change a lot quicker, I think, than we give time credit for. And, you know, like even 10 years ago, we really didn't see like a lot of that language, like a lot of cursing or anything else like that in books geared towards teenagers. It still wasn't a thing. Really, like, I mean, I feel like it's become more and more of a thing like within like the last 5 years or so. So, I mean, I really think like that it's gotten bigger. So it's not me, like when I talk about like reviews and stuff, like where I say like that they use a lot of language, I'm not doing it because like I'm, you know, like necessarily disagreeing with it. I'm doing it because like for me it's still kind of a growth experience, like to know like where we, like for me personally, to know where we were and then how far we've come in books and literature, to feel comfortable enough to know that kids use that kind of language, because I always used that kind of language growing up. Like I had a horrible mouth. I mean, I probably would make a sailor blush. I mean, like when I was in high school, because I was like, you know, I got in trouble. Like my mouth got me in trouble a few times. I was not like the best kid. I went through like a lot of periods of depression and I struggled with a lot of things, but I definitely wasn't the best kid. I wasn't the worst kid either. Let's just be real about like that. I was not the worst kid either. Like, you know, I definitely like was not, but you know, like when you are a young kid and you're a teenager, you struggle with so many things. You struggle a lot, like, you know, like with trying to find, you know, autonomy and trying to find out who you are. And when you don't have a car that you can drive, you don't have your own money, you can't really go anywhere like without being dependent on somebody else. It's really, I mean, like, you know, I mean, we even as an adult, like, you know, I feel like kids still have it really good because like there's so many things that they don't have to worry about. But it's also really hard being a kid too, because like if you have a parent that is mean, or if you have a, you know, like a relative who's mean that you depend on, or if you have like a teacher, you know, like that's mean, or, you know, anything like that, it's like when you're young, because you're a kid, they don't take you seriously. So, you know, like you complaining, oh, you're just a kid, you know, deal with it, like you have it so good, you know. I don't really necessarily think that's true, because like I feel like there's like a lot of things like that, you know, kids don't have. Like they can't just get away from a problem, like if they are having a bad day. They can't just drive away from it. Like they can't just like, you know, go somewhere else. Like they don't have like, and they don't have like the car to go to, or they can't just like hop in a car and go to a friend's house or anything else like that. So I think it's a lot harder being a kid than what we often give kids credit for. So, you know, like, I mean, that to me is like a big thing too. I don't know, like, I just remember like that growing up, like I would get depressed here and there. I would like, you know, feel very like down on myself, and I couldn't like go somewhere where I couldn't get out of the house to do it. Like I just kind of had to, you know, like be in my room and kind of figure out how to work through it in an isolated setting, which, you know, isn't always like the best way to do it. But, you know, like when you don't have a choice, like when you can't get out of the house, you know, like for a few, just to take a breather from, you know, like everything. Because, I mean, oh man, my foot's going to sleep. Ugh. But, I mean, even kids like that have a good home, because like I was fortunate enough like that I had a good home. Even kids like that have a good home, like, I mean, it's kind of like a person like being like, you know, like in like a hermit. You know, like, unless you enjoy being in the same place, like, which most people don't, like, that's like why they have hermits and not hermits. It's hard to be in the same place, like, for long periods of time. And because it's really, really hard to be in the same place, like, you know, for like long periods of time, it just, no matter how happy you are in your dwelling, you still want to get out of the house sometimes, and it's really hard being a kid. We're just gonna leave it at that, because I kind of like did my rant on that as well. Alright, got the next thing wrapped. You know, maybe doing like this chatty video, I'm really not making much progress, but I'm having fun anyway, because you guys are kind of like hanging out with me like while I do this, which is nice, because usually I do this by myself. And when you have a camera in front of you, you're never really alone, are you? Because there's always somebody out there who can see it. Going like back to my mental health thing, like, because, you know, a lot of like this is kind of like me talking about mental health. Going back to my mental health thing, you know, like the holidays are very stressful, and, you know, like I don't know like that I'm going to make it like the whole 25 days. Not because I can't, but because I don't know that I want to put myself through that just to make videos. Like, don't get me wrong, I love making videos, but honestly, so many people are making videos like right now that, like, you know, it's kind of, you know, sometimes it stresses out your viewers too, like, to make too many videos, because like there's like, oh, I need to watch all these videos, and you don't like want to overwhelm your viewers either. So there's like a lot of things that go like into this. Some people really love Vlogmas because it's like super festive, and, you know, like you get to see your creators like all the time, and, you know, like, you know, we make this stuff, you know, partially for us, but we also make it for you guys out there who watch us and support us, because we love you guys, and we want to, you know, like, we want to give you guys a treat, you know, get more interaction like during a hard time of the year. I think it's this. Okay. And, you know, for me, Christmas is actually kind of a hard time of the year. Like, it reminds me like of, like, I mean, of course, like there's like a lot, of course I still have like a lot of people here like that, you know, that are here for me during this time. But I've also lost a lot of people as well. And so, like, sometimes because of that, and this is like another mental health thing, sometimes, like, you know, I'm reminded of all the people that I have lost during this time of year, and it really makes me, you know, kind of like sad, because I, you know, kind of hope that I, you know, like that, I don't know, like kind of, when you lose somebody, like grieving and stuff like that, you know, you kind of feel like there's this hole in you. And that hole is like not something like that's super easy to fill, because once you lose somebody, you can't really ever, that wasn't anything, you can't really ever fill that hole again once you lose them, because they occupied a portion of your life like that you didn't even know you needed them in until after you met them, which makes things very, very difficult, because, you know, I know, like, the other day I was thinking about one of my good friends, Tom. This was, I think, on, I don't know, Friday, this past Friday. I was thinking about a lot about him, because he was definitely somebody, like, in my life that was very important to me and very close. And he ended up getting into a car accident, like, about 6 or 7 years ago, and he passed away. And it was very sudden, and he was about my age. And, you know, like, when you have somebody in your life like that, and you know, you really miss them, because, like, you know, like, it's hard enough losing a friend that, you know, like, you know, is going to die. You know, I mean, we're all going to die eventually, but, you know, some people, like, I've had some terminally ill friends before, like, that ended up passing away, and it's hard. It's really hard to deal with that. But, like, when you deal, like, with somebody who was completely physically healthy, and something like an accident like that happens, and because of that accident, like, they're gone, like, this, I'm not trying to make this video a downer, but it's just, you know, like, a lot of, like, discussion about, like, you know, taking care of yourself. it's like you're not just dealing like with the fact that they died anymore. Like if you deal like with somebody who's, you know, died before their time that you weren't expecting. Now you're dealing with the fact that they died and also the shock of the fact that they died. And so like now you kind of get a double whammy like with that, because, you know, like when you expect them to die, or like, you know, you expect them like to only have like so many more months to live, it's a lot easier because you have time to prepare yourself. Whereas when somebody dies suddenly, you don't, which makes it really, really difficult as well. And I don't know, like, I guess like this time of year, because of a lot of things, oh, there's a little fly in here, because like of those kind of things, I mean, I tend to get much more lonely during this time of year than I do in other points. And it's not the fact that it's not the fact that it's because I don't have family around, because I do. It's because I guess I feel like that hole that they left in me like a little bit more acutely than I did before, during like the non-holidays, because I mean, I just kind of like wish that they were here to share this, you know, like time with them. Because, you know, we did have quite a few times together. Like I knew him for like a good 6 or 7 years, and like, you know, like we're pretty much like, we were inseparable, me and Tom, but, you know, like we talked to each other, like we were pretty much each other's like rock. Like he called me his counselor, so, and he was kind of my counselor too. And like anytime like either one of us needed an ear, like, you're just, you know, like to get away and talk, I mean, we're kind of like just there for each other. So I know, it's just sad, you know. And like that's just one example. Like I have if you guys saw my grieving video, like I did talk about how like I have personally lost a lot of people, and I'm not overshooting that at all. Like I have a lot of my closest friends have gone away, and it's especially hard for me during this time of year. So I mean, of course, like I think I deal like with it fairly well. Like, you know, I've kind of I mean, you get used to it, but that doesn't mean you're okay with it still. Just one of those things. But I might be taking my own advice soon, like, and just kind of like stepping away from filming like every day, because I've been struggling like a lot like this season. Like this is, I don't know, like every year's different, and for some reason I don't know what it is, but like this year is a little bit harder for me. And I guess, you know, like, I don't know, I guess it's like I always felt like that I have a harder time being happy during these times of year, because, and the happier I am, it seems like the more I wish that they were here with me to share all of this with me, like to share like the season, to share like time, you know, like whatever it is. And it seems like the happier I am, like the harder it is for me to, you know, deal with it. So I mean, I definitely feel like I'm definitely happier like during this time of year, because if I wasn't, I wouldn't be missing them so much. But as it stands now, I am. So, and you know, I mean, I'm lucky because like I go to a, you know, like I have a family like that I don't mind spending time with during the holidays. But I know that there's people out there who have family like that they're not really keen on, which is kind of a big thing too. I try to be as happy as I can. Like I try to, you know, like cheer myself up a lot of the time, because, you know, like I still deal with depression. I still deal with it quite a bit, and it's not easy like dealing like with depression. I mean, and you know, sometimes like the worst thing to do is to wallow in it. Like, I mean, I know everybody like needs to feel and work through things, but, and you know, like sometimes, you know, you have to just, you know, like deal with it and work through things. But most of the time I try to work through things by, you know, like stepping away from it and trying to cheer myself up, so like that I can kind of gain some distance from what I'm feeling, so that I can get some more perspective on how I'm feeling. And the only way I can do like that is to kind of try to be as happy as I can. Now, I wouldn't say like that's me being fake. I would say like that, you know, like that's me trying to step away from a problem that I can't really step away from, you know, physically. Sometimes you have to step away emotionally, and the only way to do like that is to try to like not wallow in it. And I mean, I guess, I mean, I could be wallowing in it, but I'm choosing to try to, you know, fight through it, because I don't know, like I've always kind of considered myself a fighter. I'm not like the person like, you know, like that just kind of sits there and, you know, deals like with stuff like a lot of the time. I've had to fight pretty much like my entire life to get through like a lot of the emotional stuff that I've been through. And I feel like giving up for me would mean like that I just kind of allow myself to fall back into it, because I remember like the saddest times in my life were like times like where I fell through things, or I allowed myself to fall back into things. And when you allow yourself to fall back into things sometimes like that, you know, like, and sometimes you can't help it. Like, this isn't me blaming anybody. Sometimes you just can't help that kind of stuff. But when you're trying to, you know, like, deal with things and you're trying to make yourself happy, you know, like, sometimes you just, you know, have to, you know, try to maybe, like, ignore it for, like, the time being and then come back to it at a later time. My foot won't stop falling asleep. I'm sitting here in Indian style on the floor wrapping, and my foot won't stop falling asleep. The things I do for wrapping presents. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of like how I personally deal, like, with a lot of mental health things, is I kind of, you know, like, I try to work through them, like, and sometimes, like, you know, sometimes it takes years to work through things, and sometimes you have to work through things, like, a little bit at a time. You can't work through things all at once. Sometimes you have to kind of break things up and, like, you know, work on this portion of it. And, you know, there's even stuff like that I dealt with, like, years and years and years ago that I'm still kind of having revelations about, because as you get older and you learn more things, you start seeing things in different perspectives, and you start seeing things in a different light. And because you start seeing things in a different light, you know, it kind of makes a big difference on how you end up dealing with things. And I feel like the more you learn, the more radically different you deal with things, but the more you also understand about why and how you deal with things too, especially, like, if you're very introspective. And those are very important things, because understanding why and how you deal with things is sometimes just as important as dealing with the things that you have to deal with and the emotional issues that you have to deal with themselves. So, you know, I always kind of sit down and I ask myself, well, what led me to this point of dealing with this particular problem this way? And so that's kind of like how that's kind of like how I think. That's kind of how, you know, like, my thought processes go, like, when it comes, like, you know, like, to dealing with things like that, you know, like, I'm trying to struggle with. So I'm not going to make this video too much longer. I don't think I'm going to have you guys, like hang out with me, like, the entire time I'm wrapping presents, because me talking, like, about, like, this stuff, kind of rambling on, like, I'm not sure if, like, this is interesting for you guys, or, like, if you're enjoying yourselves. I mean, I'm enjoying talking to you, and I like it. And it's nice to just kind of sit around and, you know, like, shoot the shit for a little bit, and, you know, talk about mental health, and, you know, like, how I'm faring, like, with this holiday season, and, you know, just a lot of, you know, things, because this season's very busy, and sometimes, you know, with as busy as a season gets, you know, it's really hard to take time out for yourself. But, you know, sometimes you just have to make time. You just have to make time for yourself, no matter how hard it is, because if you don't, you're going to end up suffering for it. And the last thing you want to do during the holiday season is to suffer at all. So, you know, like, it's just important. But anywho, I'm just glad I'm getting, like, this stuff done. So I'm wondering about you guys, like, though, do you guys, like, have problems, like, during the holiday season? Like, is there anything that, you know, like, messes with you guys, like, during the holiday season? Or, you know, do you enjoy going to your family? Like, what kind of traditions do you have? Do you have your own tradition? You know, like, how's your mental health these days? Like, you know, just talk to me. I mean, I want to know, like, how you guys are actually doing. Like, not how you say you're doing, but how you guys are actually doing. Because, you know, like, I tell people I'm fine all the time. And I am for the most part, but, you know, that doesn't mean, like, I don't think about things. That doesn't mean things don't run through my mind. And I just want to know how you guys are doing. And I'm probably going to end the video here, and I'm probably going to finish wrapping some more stuff, and I'll probably go to bed because it's getting late. So, you know, thank you guys so much for watching my super chatty, rambling video, because, I mean, I don't know if I bored you guys to death, but if you're still with me, thank you so much, and I'm glad you're still alive. Thank you. Appreciate it. So thanks so much. This is only going to be very lightly edited because I wanted to make this super chatty. So I'll talk to you guys later, and actually I'll see you guys, you know, like, at a later date. Have a good night. Bye.